I want to get into the UFC fight card that we have coming up this weekend.
Why is that?
Because it's a good one. Well, it's not. It's another shit one. This weekend isn't that bad. No, sorry. This weekend is shocking. We're just on the wait for 300 at this point, really, and I think that's it. We can close the show off now. Thank you guys for watching. Brendan Allen is fighting Chris Curtis in a rematch. A rematch which of the first fight Chris Curtis took by knockout.
Second round.
In the second round, which, I mean, if you get finished by Chris Curtis, it's not that cool for you. Brendan Allen is kind of on a surge at the moment.
This was 2.5 years ago, though. And
Two and a half men.
This guy is 28 years old. He's kind of one of those guys that has developed in front of our eyes instead of coming into the sport as
you're absolutely right.
Instead of coming into the sport as an all-round fighter with a lot of polished skills. But since that loss to Chris Curtis, he's unbeaten.
Yeah, he's won 6 in a row. Some pretty decent opponents in there as well, and a lot of submissions. 5 out of the 6 coming by submission.
Yep.
Quite impressive.
It's a pretty high finish rate.
Very. One decision in there. So, beating the likes of Bruno Silva, Paul Craig, he's a bit of a hit or miss type of guy.
Yeah.
Andre Muniz, top guys in this division. Obviously, Smiling Sam, that's rest in peace him. But he's doing all right, but he hasn't really faced the top echelon of the division yet.
Well,
is Chris Curtis the top echelon even?
No, he's bordering on it. I mean, he's had a couple of good performances recently. Before that, Brendan Allen also fought the likes of Sean Strickland and who else did he have a win against that I was talking about?
Kevin Holland.
Kevin Holland. So, there are some pretty...
Earlier on.
Yeah, some pretty decent names in there.
He's a very active fighter. He's fighting a lot. So, good on him for that.
A loss to Anthony Hernandez. So
back in the LFA, Eric Hernandez, but he was very young back then, early 20s. Trevin Giles. But again, like you say, he's developed a lot recently, and we've really seen him kind of come into his own. So getting a win over Kevin Holland back when you were only 23 is pretty impressive for this kind of guy.
Big time.
And, and then the only losses since that win streak that he had being Sean Strickland and Chris Curtis, 2 guys who are tough. Sean Strickland obviously went on to win the belt. Chris Curtis, very good on his day. Powerful puncher. Great takedown defense. It's going to be interesting. There we have it with the first ream off of our favorite word.
Your favorite word.
You say it too.
Okay.
Well, you hate the word. I like it.
Yeah.
You just know that we say it too much.
That's right.
It's interesting.
Look, Chris Curtis, we've been talking about... Sorry?
You said, look, Chris Curtis.
I said, look, Chris Curtis.
Oh, all right. I thought he was here.
Can we bring his record up? Look,
sure, we can do that.
He's on a little bit of a tear at the moment, but he is one of those guys who goes back and forward. Well, not really.
He's on a tear. He's on an absolute
Well, no,
tear.
that last fight that he had was not too bad. It kind of put him in a decent position. It was on a pay-per-view, which, we don't see very much from him.
What from Chris?
Well,
last 4 fights.
On a big paper. Well, are they on the main card?
I don't know.
Yeah.
No, you could be right.
I'm probably not. I'm just talking shit.
He was getting beat pretty bad in that fight. Then obviously they clashed heads and that got stopped early, but he was losing that fight.
Yep.
Marc-Andre Barriault, all right fighter, but scrappy, couldn't make it take it into his realm.
Look, he beat Phil Hawes.
Yeah. He hasn't been fighting anywhere near as much as we've booked him.
No.
So he must have been pulling out all these fights.
That's the thing though. Yeah, maybe that's where I'm getting stitched up in my own head is there's a lot of good matchups for Chris Curtis at middleweight at the moment, but he doesn't fight that much.
No, he doesn't. Well, I mean, he fought in Jan. He's fought this year before, and now he's stepping in on semi-last minute notice to replace the Orc. And it puts him in a really good spot actually. If he can beat Brendan Allen, who knows what's next for Chrissy. I just want to see some consistency from him. I want to see him get 3, 4, 5 wins in a row.
Yeah.
Not lose when he gets these top opponents like that Jack Manson fight, right? He should have won that fight. Jack Hermansson's a very one-dimensional striker, and he pieced him up on the feet. Chris is a good boxer. If he cut him off, and he cut off the cage for Jack, who was just kind of circling and circling, didn't go for many takedowns. Obviously, Chris Curtis has great takedown defense. If he could have cut the cage off and just countered him on the side that he was moving towards, he could have finished Jack for sure. We've seen him get finished before, but he just let Jack run away with that fight. Back at
He's quite a good point fighter, Jack Hermansson. I'll give him that.
He is. He does have a good jab, but Chris should be able to take that over. Much more athletic, much more, just better on the feet at boxing.
It's quite a good personality as well for the sport, Chris Curtis.
Chrissy C, yeah. I think he thinks that he's Sean Strickland, basically. Because Sean won the belt, I think he kind of thinks he won the belt.
Well, yeah, I mean, it would be quite an inspirational thing for a gym like that to go through the surge that they have had recently. And yeah, having one of those guys that you've come up with win the belt and you've been there the whole way, it would
feel nice.
Yeah, it would light a fire under you. How do you think he goes against Brendan Allen?
I think he loses. I think the logical decision would be a decision by Brendan Allen or a submission. Probably not in the first or second, maybe in the third round. Don't see Brendan Allen getting finished this time, although Chris has obviously done it before, so he can do it again. I just think he's improved so much since then. And has Chris improved that much since then?
I agree. And yeah, I also agree on Chris Curtis. He every time he gets to this point, he kind of falls short. Whether it be, like that fight you're talking about, Jack Hermansson, whether it be Kelvin Gastelum. And I feel like he's in another one of those positions now where Brendan has gotten into a fairly decent ranked position. What is he ranked? 8th or something?
Should we pull the rankings up just to see?
Yeah.
The rankings.
The rankings. But yeah, I know for a fact he's quite a bit higher than Chris Curtis.
He's ranked at number 6.
Okay. So even higher than what I thought. Chris Curtis down there at number 14.
I just don't know why he's ranked at number 6 though, for now, right? Like, he literally beat Paul Craig in his last fight. He hasn't beaten any of those guys from Paul Craig to where he is. Why is he ranked?
Yeah, that's a good point.
Like, just pulling it back to Brendan Allen, like Bruno Silva, Paul Craig. Bruno Silva's not even in the rankings. Paul Craig is set at number 13. I don't really understand.
Maybe it's the impressive fashion that he beat.
Could be,
Paul Craig in, but I mean, other than what has Imamov hasn't exactly had an impressive win as of late. That fight against Dolidze was a bit of a bore.
I believe he took Dolidze's spot though in the rankings when he won. Dolidze was 8, but then why was Dolidze 8? Oh, he beat Hermansson.
It's a bit of a mess. Yeah, it's a bit of a mess. I think he is one of those guys that they are trying to push
for sure,
which is why he was originally booked against Vettori.
I wish we could have got to see that fight.
Yeah.
Slightly more interested in that fight than I am the Chris Curtis one, just because I just don't think Chris has it in the tank. I reckon Chris is going to go out there and look for a round 1 finish, though. We don't know how fit he is. Could he be coming off the couch, kind of?
It's like Vettori got injured a while ago. I think this fight has been in the works for
about 2 weeks.
Was it only 2 weeks?
Yeah.
Huh.
He replaced him.
Okay.
You remember we were talking about Vettori was talking shit about Adesanya?
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that was only a couple of weeks ago. It felt so long ago.
It does.
Well, actually, with the timelines, it's probably 3 weeks ago.
Could be, yeah. Don't tell them about that.
Okay.
Enjoying my Ribena over here. I'm going to go decision Chris Curtis. Decision.
Whoa.
Fucking Brendan Allen.
Yeah, I think Allen B. It's a 5-round fight, isn't it?
It is.
I think we'll see a 4th round submission by Brendan Allen.
Do you now?
Yeah.
Fair play. I rate that.
Yep.